Hey, it's your friend Choice CJ here, and I'm finally back. It's been a long time since I've been on the channel. It's kind of took a little bit of a hiatus after the holidays, or during the holidays, and at the end of UBC Season 5. And it's been some good time off, spent some time with the family, spent some time relaxing. But the new year has given me new energy, and I'm really excited to be bringing you guys a new video. If you are just finding me for the first time, then thanks for giving me a chance. Hope you enjoy the content and check some of it out. I do Pokemon Draft League mainly, and I also dabble in Duel Links and sometimes Let's Plays of just games that I enjoy. And I am going to be putting out lots of gaming videos this year, so hope you're looking forward to it. And this video in particular is going to be for a brand new league that I'm joining. I guess it's I don't know if you could say that the league itself is new, but this is basically the minor leagues for a league that's been around for a little while now. And this league is called P4G Next Generation. So I don't know if you abbreviate it PNG or how it works, but I digress. We are going to be going over our draft for this league. And before we go further anymore, I do want to give a big shout out to my pal Kelly under the radar for telling me to, encouraging me to join this league. I'm really excited. This got a great group of people, a whole bunch of just really stand-up, chill guys, and it's run by Kelly and also Lynx Forte and Kyle A. And so I want to give a big thank you to all of them for considering me. And I'm not doing a webcam or anything today, but I am going to make an effort. I'm going to make it a point to do as much webcam as possible for these videos because I'm super pumped. This is going to be a really high quality league, and there's a lot of high quality content creators, and I want to live up to their standards. Just to tell you a little bit about the PNG, I guess is what I'm going to call it now. If that's not already a thing, it might be. It's a Wi-Fi league, and 16 teams, and the draft was, the drafting itself was pretty standard. It was a tier-based draft. If you're not familiar with draft leagues, it's you try and get 11 different Pokemon, and the Pokemon are all ranked into different tiers, and so on and so forth. But the thing that was special about this draft is that there were a lot of sort of, I guess the easiest way to say it is overpowered Pokemon that were allowed. So things like Mega Metagross, Magearna, Tapu Lele, Naganadel, Genesect, Darkrai, etc. They were all allowed. And you had to pay extra points in order to get those, but usually those types of Pokemon tend to pay for themselves. So it kind of, gave it a different dynamic in terms of how I was drafting, because you have to take into account that you're going to have to play these Pokemon most likely in a given week. And so I didn't end up getting any of the ultra broken mons, but I tried to build my team in such a way that I could take those on. And going into this, I didn't really have like a specific plan, but once the picks started coming around to me, I knew that I had a good shot of building around a particular core that I really wanted, and that core was Tapu Koko, Pelipper, and Mega Scizor. So basically a rain core. And I thought that I could build not a dedicated rain team, but like a soft rain, and it would be really potent. I really wanted to have kind of like a bulky offensive draft. I've been inspired by the likes of Jolt from the Token Minorities and Gypsy King and folks like that, who tend to run some pretty fat drafts, but not fat passive. A lot of fast fat, if that makes sense. And so I kind of wanted to build a team in that same way. And so Koko, Pelipper, Scizor, I think was a good way to allow me to do that. And so the first Pokemon that I did end up taking was Tapu Koko. And Tapu Koko is going to be named Usain Bolt because he's a speed demon. His speed cannot be matched. And Tapu Koko's really been on the rise in the eyes of the draft community. I think, at least for me, it really started with Randy in the GBAD League. Seeing how he used Tapu Koko, that thing annihilated every team. Like every single week, he was getting 3 kills. It was out of control. I'm excited to use Tapu Koko It's got obviously powerful electric type moves thanks to its ability Electric Surge, and we can potentially run Thunder because we have Pelipper potentially coming up in the next few picks. And this thing also gets amazing coverage. It's got all sorts of things to help take on ground types, grass types, etc. And it's got great momentum options between Volt Turn and things like that. Also gets Defog now in Gen 7. So Tapu Koko is out of control. I'm really eager to use it. So that was pick number 1. Pick number 2, I was trying to decide what I wanted. I was actually thinking about Dragonite. Not necessarily with this next pick, but Dragonite would have been a cool Pokemon to use in Rain because it's actually got a decent special move pool and moves like Hurricane and Thunder that would be boosted by the Rain. But I decided that there was a different Dragon Flying type that I wanted, and because this one's a little bit more coveted, I had to take it with my second pick, and that is, of course, Salamence. Salamence is going to be named Blackhawk on my team. Every Salamence I've ever drafted is Blackhawk. Salamence is just so good. It's got so many good sets, whether it's the classic D-Dance set, a Wall Breaker set. I think like mixed Wall Breaker Salamence is just so good. It's so hard to deal with. It's my favorite set by far. It's got good revenge killing sets. It's got even good defensive sets. Defensive sets are bonkers on Salamence. I just knew that I wanted this Pokemon because I love using it. That's really all it is to it. And so it's another pretty fast Mon, base 100. And, just the fact that this is a pseudo-legendary means it's got very well-balanced stats. So it's going to fit with the bulky offensive mold that I'm trying to build here. So that's Salamence. So got my first 2 picks. I'm trying to look at the draft at this point and see what's available. I was tempted a little bit actually by Ash Greninja because I was like, ooh, if that thing gets its Ash form and it's firing off Choice Specs Hydro Pumps, it can be really powerful, especially if it's in the rain. That got taken before I had the chance to draft it myself, but it was kind of a blessing in disguise because I realized that I could just take this next Pokemon, which is Volcanion. Volcanion is going to be my Super Soaker with that trademark, and probably 80% of the time with this thing, I'm going to be running it Choice Specs and clicking Steam Eruption. There's not a whole lot else to think about with this Pokemon, in my opinion. It does have, obviously, the fire coverage as well to help take on grass types that might otherwise try and switch into Volcanion. And it's even got, Solar Beam to help with water types that might switch in. So, I can run a Power Herb set if I need to. But because I'm going to be potentially grabbing Pelipper in the next few rounds here, Rain boosted, Choice Specs boosted, Steam Eruptions are just so powerful. Even to things like Max HP Lottie, it's probably taken 50% from that in the rain. It's unbelievable. So I thought this Pokemon would be really fun, and it's another legendary Pokemon, so it's got very good all-around stats, very good natural bulk, and it's got great typing. It doesn't have very many weaknesses, just electric, rock, and ground. Water Absorb helps it neutralize, I guess it's not a weakness, but it's got a neutrality to water without its ability, but now it can switch in with Reckless Abandon, except for Mold Breaker Mons, I guess. But yeah, that was the only idea with Volcanion, is Choice Specs, Steam Eruption, and the rain. Not much else to be said. My next pick is kind of deviating from the rain strategy a little bit. I knew that with Pokemon like Tapu Lele being around, and just Psychic types in general being really hard to handle if they get up a lot of Calm Minds and things like that, I wanted a powerful Dark type to be able to handle them. And there's a Dark type that I've been having my eye on for quite some time, ever since I faced off with my buddy It's Gregulator in UVC Season number 4. He used a Pokemon to great effect, and that Pokemon is Alolan Muck. This Mon got a huge buff in Gen 7. Obviously, getting the Alolan form, giving it its new typing, is really amazing. And it got a buff indirectly because Gluttony can now consume those 50% berries, your Figgy berries and things like that, to give it a lot of HP when it gets to 50% or lower. So it's just a really hard to kill Pokemon because it's got good natural bulk, especially on the especially defensive side. It only has one weakness to ground, and I am stacking ground type weaknesses a little bit, but we'll worry about that later. But yeah, this thing is just an incredible psychic type killer. Just got powerful knockoff. It's got pursuit to trap the psychic types or potentially the ghost types, which is really nice. And poison stab is also really nice for killing fairies. So that's quite nice. And that's really all there is to it with Muck. Like, there are some other cool sets that you can run, like the block curse set, which I think they call that Gypsy Muck. That's a really fun set. I hope to bring that at some point, because it is very potent. Like, once you get 1 or 2 curses up with this thing, because it's only weak to ground, and most ground type attacks are earthquake, you can boost to the point where you're not taking as much damage from that, especially if it's not from a Pokemon with stab. So I just think Muck's great. Really eager to use it and to put it to work. So moving on, I did mention that we're sort of stacking ground weaknesses, and in general, in this day and age of Pokemon Draft League, each team really needs to have a plan for Zygarde 50%, because Thousand Arrows is just so hard to deal with. It can beat teams on its own, and I actually kind of wanted to get Zygarde 50%, but it was taken, and that's when I started to think about this rain strategy. But anyway, I knew that having a flying type like Salamence wasn't going to be good enough to deal with ground spam, particularly Thousand Arrow spam. And so for that reason, I went with Chestnut next. And Chestnut's going to be my tank. That's a shout out to the classic Bobby Lee skits from Mad TV. But Chestnut's obviously got a really, really big defense stat, 122 base defense, and it's got an awesome move pool. It was boosted a lot by the move tutors at the end of Gen 6. It got Drain Punch to help support itself. It gets Seed Bomb for powerful grass stab. It gets Recovery and Synthesis. Or does it? Am I making that up? I'm pretty sure it does. Doesn't it? Maybe it doesn't. It at least gets Leech Seed. So you guys can write angry things down in the comments to me for being wrong. So that's totally fine. Leech Seed is actually a little bit better than Synthesis on this Pokemon on this team, because I am trying to get Rain. Synthesis is not fully effective in the Rain. But anyway, yeah, I really want this as a powerful check to ground types. And it's not a passive Pokemon by any means. We do have to be careful because it does have the 4x flying weakness and not so great Spadef stat. So we have to be very aware of that. But I think that I'm going to be able to work with this thing despite its minor weaknesses. And the fact that it has spikes as well is just gravy. So moving on. I knew that the next Pokemon I wanted to take was probably going to go soon. And so I didn't wait any longer to take this Pokemon, and that Pokemon is Seismitoad. Seismitoad's going to be my Swift Swim Pokemon. I know that most of the time when you think of rain teams, you think of mainly Kingdra and Kabutops. Sometimes you see Omastar as well, but it's really those two. But the problem is that yes, they can do things outside of rain, but I think Seismitoad is a better Pokemon outside of rain, because it's got really nice natural bulk. It's got a fairly decent move pool. Like, it's got ice moves, it's got poison moves, it's got knockoff, it's got power up punch, for running funny setup sets if you want. And it's got Stealth Rocks, so it's just got a lot of really nice moves in its move pool. And Kabutops obviously has a lot of nice moves as well, but I just wanted the ground type mainly. Kabutops still being weak to electric types. I feel like I'm starting to build kind of a weakness to electric types here, and so Seismitoad seems like a good way to deal with that. And yes, it's not hard for an electric type to run Hidden Power Grass, but there's already, they're going to want to be running potentially Hidden Power Ice for Salamence, or maybe they want to run HP Flying for Chestnut, things like that. So it's going to be hard to run a lot of different hidden powers. And it's true that there are some Pokemon that get grass coverage in addition to their normal electric stabs, like the Thundurus Pokemon both get Grass Knot, Xurkitree gets Energy Ball, but I'm actually pretty lucky. Neither of the Thunduruses ended up getting taken in this draft, so that kind of works out for me. But yeah, I think that Seismitoad is going to be very underrated this season. I think people are going to sleep on it, and I can't wait to surprise them with a very powerful Swift Swim user. And you know, in addition to that, obviously he also gets Water Absorb, so I now have 2 Water Absorb Pokemon on the team, which is pretty fun. Alright, so that's the first half of the team. With the next pick, I actually didn't take a Pokemon. I took Flyinium Z, and the reason being, this is going to combo very well with my Salamence for Z Fly, you know, very potent on setup sets with Moxie and things like that. It's going to help a lot with Tapu Koko, because we can boost its Brave Bird to take out grass types that would be otherwise lured in by Tapu Koko. You know, the grass types want to switch into the electric type moves, so you just nuke them with Supersonic Sky Strike instead. And it can even potentially work on Pelipper, which I'm going to be taking soon, you know, to get a Z Hurricane off, which is certainly nothing to sneeze at. And I actually got pretty lucky here. There are some other folks in the draft who were thinking about getting the Flyinium Z Crystal. Like my buddy Jacob, as always, he's got Lando T. And he actually misread the doc. He thought somebody had already taken Flyinium Z. And so that's why he was waiting, because he's like, oh, well, you know, there's no reason for me to take it, you know, because I can't. And then I took it, and he goes, oh, no, you can't take it. It's not available. So it kind of sucked for him, but worked out for me. And I think this is like one of the best Z Crystals that there is in the game. So it's just really nice. With the Flyinium Z now in the wings, no pun intended, I'm going to get Pelipper with my next pick. And now Pelipper is going to be Nigel. And I should mention, too, there's a couple other Mons that I gave nicknames to. Muck is going to be Trip, which is fairly self-explanatory. And then Seismitoad's going to be We Miss John, because my buddy Jay Specs, you know, we like to tease him with Seismitoad jokes and Palpitoad jokes. Not because he looked like them or anything, but because he's like always like, oh, they're bad Pokemon, I hate them. And so I always named my my Seismitoad Jay Specs. So he's kind of retired from Pokemon now, but he's still a good pal, and I wish I could talk to him more. But anyway, back to Nigel, the Pelipper. Nothing really to say here. It's the rain supporter. It's going to give Seismitoad its ability to use Swift Swim. It's going to give Tapu Koko the ability to use Thunder. It's going to boost the Choice Specs Steam Eruptions from Volcanion. It is going to boost my eventual Mega Scizor, you know, because it's going to neutralize the fire-type attacks that would otherwise do a lot of damage to it. And yeah, that's kind of all it is. You know, Pelipper is better than Palpitoad, Politoad, in my opinion, just because it is good at giving you momentum because it is U-turn. It's got Defog. It's got some recovery with Roost. And yeah, that's kind of all there is to it. The fact that it's got 2 stab options as well is nice. You know, grass types can't really switch into this because of the threat of Hurricane. And yeah, that's all I'd like to say about Pelipper. Looking forward to using it. So now I'm at the point where I have to take 3 Tier 5 Pokemon. I've gotten everything else except my Mega Pokemon. But it's actually funny, all the Mega slots and Ultra slots have been filled up. So there's literally no chance that anybody can snipe Mega Scizor from me at this point. So I'm going to save that for my last pick. And what I really wanted was Steelix and Musharna. You guys will see in a moment what I've nicknamed my Musharna. But anyway, Steelix ended up getting sniped, which is really bad for me because I wanted a ground type that was not weak to grass. Because that would help a lot with the 4x weakness that Seismitoad has. Now, the electro types are going to be forced to run different coverage in order to deal with Steelix. Like, they'd have to run fire coverage or water coverage, but then that hurts their ability to deal with Seismitoad, or, you know, their ability to hit Salamence or something else, for example. But Steelix ended up getting sniped, and that really sucked. And so I didn't really know what else to do for the moment, so I ended up going with Musharna, which I've named Crest Jr. Because it's not that different in terms of what it does. Like, its stats aren't as good, I'll admit, but it does have a big fat HP stat. It's got good bulk on both sides, and it's got pretty decent defense and SpDef stats, so that's pretty nice. And its move pool is actually really good, especially on the support side. It's got Baton Pass, Heal Bell, Healing Wish, a lot of things that are really nice. You know, even Magic Coat could be pretty neat on Musharna. So the fact that it's so slow as well makes it a good potential Trick Room user. So I think as a tier 5 option, Musharna was very good. I was feeling a little vulnerable to fighting types at this point. I did have Pelipper and Salamence as fairly reliable switch-ins, and like technically Tapu Koko resists, but Tapu Koko is not a defensive Pokemon. You don't really care about the typing on that thing. You really don't. So I wanted a reliable check to fighting types, and I think Musharna is going to be that. So with Steelix being gone, I was thinking, okay, how do I deal with electric types? Okay, here's what I'm thinking. I'm going to grab Palossand because, like, yes, it's, like, you know, Grass is still super effective versus it, but at least it's also going to be able to spin block. It's got Stealth Rocks. It's got reliable recovery with Shore Up, and, you know, it's a very versatile Pokemon. And I also want Togedemaru, because Togedemaru, with its Lightning Rod ability, makes it immune to electric-type attacks. It's actually resistant to grass, which is excellent. It's also resistant to ice. Electric-type Pokemon are going to have to find fighting coverage if they really want to deal with Togedemaru. So that's what I'm thinking. Palossand plus Togedemaru. But Palossand gets taken like 2 picks before me. My buddy Marcus, a.k.a. Moxie Boosted, ended up taking it, and I was really devastated. So I didn't really know what to do. I settled for my good buddy Rhydon, aka Dremel, but I've already decided that Rhydon is going to be dropped from the team. I'm actually going to pick up Armaldo, which I'll name Scorpio. So because of that, I'm not really going to spend much time on Rhydon. I taken it because it's a ground type, and it has Stealth Rocks, and, you know, it's a cool mon. But Armaldo also has Stealth Rocks. It also has the added bonus of being a rapid spinner, and it also has Swift Swim, so it can be, you know, it can take advantage of the rain that I've got on my team. And so one of the things I'm disappointed about with this team is that it doesn't have great hazard setting options. Like, I've got Toad with Rocks, Rhydon / Armaldo with Rocks, and Chestnut with Spikes, but that's it. I usually like to have more, but, you know, you can't always get a perfect team. So with that being explained, I did get Togedemaru with my next pick. Togedemaru is named I Came In Like a, you know, for all those Wrecking Ball jokes. And yeah, kind of like I said, it's got the Lightning Rod ability to help deal with the electric type Pokemon that I'm feeling pretty vulnerable to. And I've also got Iron Barbs. I think Mega Kang did get drafted in this league. It was allowed. Carson ended up taking it, and so, you know, without giving all my secrets away, Iron Barbs plus Rocky Helmet on Togedemaru could be potentially useful. Otherwise, Togedemaru is neat as well because it kind of fits into a good speed tier on my team. I kind of have a big gap right now between Seismitoad and Salamence. You know, Salamence being 100 and Seismitoad being 74. And so Pokemon like in the 90 speed tier range are going to be able to run Modest Nature versus me, or Adamant Nature versus me. But Togedemaru at least sort of mitigates that to some extent. You know, if I want to bring an offensive Togedemaru, which, you know, this is a fun league, so it could definitely happen. But I don't want to talk too much more about Togedemaru. I want to finish things up because it's already been 25 minutes. And I will go over my final pick, which is Tony Stark, my Mega Scizor. This thing, obviously, I had it in mind the entire draft. It was really crucial to completing my core. If it had gotten sniped somehow, I would have been okay because instead of taking a Mega Pokemon, you could elect to take a regular Tier 1 Pokemon. Excuse me, it's like 12 o'clock at night while I'm recording this. So I could have taken regular Scizor, but Mega Scizor's bulk is just so good. It's got better defensive stats than Skarmory. It's unbelievable. And it's got one of the strongest priority moves in the game, being Technician Bullet Punch off of its base 150 attack stat. It's got great utility moves with U-Turn Knockoff. You know, everyone knows what Mega Scizor does. There's no need to carry on about it. But, you know, it's got, like, Defog with Tompass for good support options as well. And the fact that I have this on a rain team means it's so hard to kill. I had to, a few seasons ago, in the UPC, coached by, or ran by my buddy, Phantom Base, aka Tyler. He had a rain team with Mega Scizor, and I had to fight him in the championship. And that was so stressful. It was very, very hard to prep for. It was just so hard to kill the thing, and so I kind of wanted to replicate that. I mean, I luckily ended up winning, but it was not easy. It was a slugfest. It was like 80 turns, just trying to deal with Scizor and some other fat stuff he had on his team, like Rotom and things like that. So, in a nutshell, if you can call 27 minutes a nutshell, that is the team. And I'm really excited to use it. I'm very proud of it. And, you know, even though it didn't go 100% perfectly according to plan, you know, I think, you know, there's not too much more I could ask for. And I know the competition in this league is going to be very tough, but I know that also everyone is really easygoing and ready to have a good time and, you know, goof around. So I'm happy to be a part of that. And once again, I want to say thanks to the gang who run the P4G and the PNG for allowing me in and putting this on for all of us. So that's going to do it for me. This is way longer than I planned, but I hope it was enjoyable. And I hope it gives you some good insight into my draft, and hope it gives you guys some excitement for the upcoming weeks, because there are going to be, I believe, 12 weeks of P4G, PNG. And so we're going to be facing almost everybody. It's 16 teams in total, so I think there's 2 or 3 people who we're not going to battle. And yeah, so make sure you check out the channel later for all of these games that are going to be going up. Really great way to stay up to date on all of this action is to hit that subscribe button. Would really appreciate it. And then you can come back to the channel for all sorts of gaming and other Pokemon content. So until the next time, I will see you guys later.